All right, so hello, welcome to the Arthur Lyman Public Interest Law Summer Fellowship Information Session. I am Lindsay Granger Weaver, the Senior Associate Director of Internship Programs at Beyond Barnard. Welcome. It's a very busy time of year, so we really appreciate you all being here to learn more about this great way to fund really great work during the summer. So, in a brief agenda, talk about who exactly Arthur Lyman was, the fellowship criteria, some of the benefits of the program, the application process, and then some insights from a few of the members of the summer 2021 cohort, then some next steps. So hang out. I can't see the chat, but if you have questions that come up, feel free to put them there. And then during the Q&A portion, you can either ask the former fellows, or ask me. Fun times ahead. So first, who was Arthur Lyman? So he was a graduate of Yale University and Yale Law School. His wife, Ellen Lyman, is a Barnard alum, class of 57. Really a known public figure in public service, in public interest law, which is why this program was created to really expand his legacy, expand his footprint in these areas. So I'll let you read this. I'm not going to read it to you, but essentially he did some really great work, and his wife and children and relatives who run this foundation really look to fund folks who have the same spirit of public service through law and legal education. So the Lyman Law Fellowship provides a stipend to students who intern in public interest positions. The time frame is 8 weeks full-time during the summer. So in this case, it would be summer 2022. The fellowship is open to all students. So you can apply as the end of your first year. You can apply as a graduating senior. You're expected to work at a nonprofit organization. So not so much like a large law firm within their like public interest or pro bono side. It needs to be an organization that their purpose is this, their sole purpose is this nonprofit public service in law. And then you can apply. It's really important to note that you can apply before you confirm your internship. So if you are interested, if you know that this is something that you plan to do and are planning to start looking at those opportunities as they come up either over break or in the early spring, you can still apply. And then in order to receive funding, you would just have to confirm that the organization that you have an internship and that the organization fits this criteria. So the program benefits is a $5,000 stipend for the summer. You also, which is a nice amount. There are also events and meetups with the Barnard cohort of this program. So the program is at other schools too, but the meetups are for this cohort. And also for this upcoming summer, we're planning on doing a lot of cross meetups between different groups of interns who are doing sometimes similar things, sometimes different things, just so that you can network with each other, learn from each other, start to like build this collection of folks who are doing cool stuff during the summer. So that'll be an added bonus. Stay tuned for more information on that. You also get to participate in the Lyman Center Colloquium, which is held at Yale Law School in the spring. And then also just extending this, so it goes really beyond the summer. There are Lyman fellows from all different schools. And so you really start to build up a network of folks who have similar interests in public service law and advocacy. And so you can, have a group of people to bounce ideas off of, to work with, even, if you decide to apply to law school, or if you don't, but still are interested in this area. So it's really great for both the summer to get paid for doing work that you may not have been paid to do, but really want to do. But then also moving forward, you really get to join this robust network of people who are doing really cool things. So the application process, the application will open on January 13th. That in handshake. Up until recently, it said it was going to open, I believe, tomorrow. But given everything that's going on at this point, we kind of decided to push that back so that you're not feeling pressure to do anything with this over break except relax. You can think about things, obviously, start on things if you want to, but there is no pressure to begin submitting anything until January. The link will be in handshake. It'll also be emailed to you if you fill out the interest form, which you'll get a link to at the end of this application. I mean, at the end of this workshop. The application, you will also need to upload into the Google form a resume, a reflective essay, which is basically tell us about yourself, your interest in the Lyman Law Program. So you can talk about, what aspects of public service you're interested in, what specific areas you would like to impact. 2 letters of recommendation from Barnard faculty, just who can kind of speak to this commitment and to also how you are in the classroom, how you are just as a lovely human being that I'm sure you are. A copy of your college transcript, an unofficial one is fine. And then also an idea of either if you have an internship, where that would be, or where you're planning to apply. So again, you don't have to have the internship solidified before you apply, since it is very early. Even at the application close date of the February 18th, that may still be a little early, but just we want to have a sense that you are applying to things, what those organizations may look like. And so that all of these will be in a Google form that you can just upload everything. The faculty in the form, you'll see that faculty can either send them to you to upload, or they can email them to me directly. But this, it's a pretty low key application. So hopefully there aren't any barriers to you applying. And so now we will have the experiences of 2 of the 4 folks who were in the Barnard cohort for last summer. The other 2, their organizations and email addresses are here. Unfortunately, both of them had class, but they did say that you all could reach out and email them if necessary. So at this moment, I'm going to stop the share so that we can actually get folks see some faces, and then we'll hear about what's happening. So hello, Toby and Caroline. Welcome. So I'll have you both first introduce yourself, year, your major, all that fun stuff, and then just give some sort of highlights from your experience. So Toby, you're first on my screen, so you want to go first?
Yeah, hi everybody. I'm Toby, she, her. I'm a senior at Barnard, majoring in American Studies, and sorry, I'm sort of forgetting what I'm supposed to say here. I worked at an organization called Youth Justice Network last summer. They provide lots of different levels of support to people 18 to 24 who are at Rikers Island. And I found it just by messaging someone on Barnard Connect, which is a really good resource that I would recommend. And I guess, I'll go into a bit more detail in a little bit, but one highlight was much of my internship was remote, but I was able to shadow some court appearances in person over the summer, which was really interesting. I got to go to court in both Brooklyn and Queens, and I didn't have the required attire, so I looked a little bit funny, but it was really interesting. And like, what I will say, it's like, it was also really upsetting in a lot of ways. I think like what sort of surprised me the most was the way that like you define success in this system is like it's so broad, sort of like something that is a success will also probably like be tragic in other ways. So yeah, that's me. Is that good? Okay.
Yeah, that's fine. Thanks. Caroline?
Great. So my name is Caroline. I use she, her pronouns. I'm a senior at Barnard. I'm double majoring in political science and Spanish, and I worked at the Civil Rights Clinic at Cardozo Law School this summer. A few highlights from my experience. I got to work on a class action lawsuit suing the federal government, suing a federal prison. That was very cool. We had over 1,400 plaintiffs who were incarcerated during a blizzard when the power went out. So that was really fulfilling to work toward getting justice for them. And because I worked for a law professor, I got to learn a lot about doing legal research, which is really important as a lawyer and as a law student. So I got to help write briefs for some impact litigation cases. And I also got to advocate for some clients who were being mistreated in prison. And I really liked that because my boss kind of let me take charge and communicate directly with the wardens and explain how they were violating the constitutional rights of the prisoners. It made me feel like a lawyer in the making, even though that's kind of far away. But it was a really incredible experience. And I feel like I learned a lot and got a lot of great experience.
Oh, that's great. Thank you. These experiences sound fascinating. More fun than my summer experience of working from my kitchen table. But when you think back to when you were at this stage, what were some things you wish you knew going into your internships? Either of you can go. No order this time.
You can go, Caroline. You look like you have. I'm still thinking.
Okay, so this is with going into your internships. My internship was remote, so I really wish I had the opportunity to connect more with my boss. We mostly communicated via email and we Zoomed once or twice a week, but a lot of it was just doing research and on my own, and then sending her things and she would correct them and send them back to me, like that kind of back and forth. And another thing I wish I had known is similar. It's more also about making connections. There are really incredible networking opportunities with the Lyman Fellowship, both during and after. So the colloquium and the meetups with Barnard students, but also there was a meetup in the middle of the summer too with all of the Lyman Fellows. And I really wish I had taken advantage of that more and made those connections stronger. But yeah, as a senior applying for jobs, I kind of wish I had networked more, but so do that.
I think something that, I think sort of related to what I was saying before, like, I don't think I was expecting to be so sort of moved by the work that I was doing. Like sometimes after a day of work, like I would be really upset. So I think that's something that I maybe wish I had known. Like it's not all like my boss said to me on the first day, she was like, we're not working with people from the Innocence Project. Like that's not what this is. Like we're working with people that have done like really horrific things. And that's like something that I think you just like have to be prepared for. Yeah, I think that's something I maybe wish I had known. But then I think on the other end of it too, like I think I was really worried the whole time that I was like not doing a good job or like not doing enough. Especially thinking about like my position as a white person in these spaces, like I just doubted myself a lot. But I think like you should know that like you are. Like I had no idea that I was doing a good job, and then they like asked me to stay on, so I'm like, it's literally my work day today on Thursday, so I'm like still working for the organization. So like you're prepared, like you are doing a good job, even if it's not like in school where you get a grade. Like my boss never gave me real feedback until she was like, so you're staying, right? So yeah, I guess those are the two things that I would say.
No, that's really good feedback. I'm glad that you're doing well. I'm feeling better about it. But yeah, and Caroline, to your point, a lot of programs have these networking. Did either of you attend the Lyman conference in the spring or in the summer?
Yeah,
How was that?
I think the colloquium is mandatory, actually. We did ours virtually, but normally you have to actually go up to Yale's campus, is my understanding. But that was really awesome because we got to talk to Lyman Law Fellows, Lyman undergraduate fellows, and Yale Law professors. So we got to hear perspectives from people in very different phases of public interest law and the work that they're doing and advice that they had for us. So that was great.
Yeah, I second that. It was a little bit tiring because it was a like 8-hour Zoom. So I hope that it's in person this year for you all.
Yes, fingers crossed, because that's the right word, exhausting. And so what advice do you have for the people in this workshop right now who are thinking of applying or planning to apply? Because there's been it's been a lot of interest in this. And so what advice do you have for folks who are where these people are right now?
Okay. My first piece of advice would be to actually apply. I was thinking about not applying because I was like, oh my gosh, Yale Law, Lyman Fellowship, that's so scary. But the only way to guarantee you will not get it is by not applying. So a big piece of advice is definitely apply. And second of all, I said this earlier, but I would definitely work on networking and connections and forming those bonds with people who have similar interests and passions.
Yeah, I think something I would say is when I was first thinking about what I wanted to do, I was like, I applied for lots of public interest places that have legit programs, like Bronx Defenders, Brooklyn Defenders, Legal Aid, and I never heard back. So I guess my advice would be to look at smaller places that don't necessarily have a internship program, because that's it's very appealing for someone in those organizations for you to message them and say hey, I can get funding for this, even though you don't have a formal program. I can work for you. The place I work, they I don't think they've had an intern in 5 years, which also means that I'm doing real work, not just work that they designate for interns. So yeah, I would look on Barnard Connect. I didn't even know it's called Youth Justice Network, and I just saw that someone worked there and I was like, oh, that sounds cool. So yeah, that would be one piece of advice, is don't discount the smaller, less big name organizations. And then the other thing I would say is, we were just talking before about how you definitely don't need to know for sure that you want to go to law school to do this program. Caroline said she's studying for the LSAT, which is obviously great, but when Lindsay asked me, I was like, I don't know, I don't think this experience confirmed or denied law school for me, and that's totally fine. You don't need to be I really want to go to Yale Law School or anything like that. The actual point of it is just to learn whether it's something that you might want to do. So definitely don't feel it's this big, intense pre-professional thing. Yeah, that's what I would say.
Yeah, and that's really great advice. I mean, any internship is inherently a learning opportunity. That's what makes it an internship and not a job. And so you absolutely will not, your application won't be judged on this is what I want, and I know this is what I want, and the degree to which you know it's what you want. It's this is what I want to try out, and here's why. Because you can be interested in, what organizations do within this realm without necessarily wanting to be a lawyer. You can be interested in causes without necessarily going the legal route in order to fix that. But this is really one way to help you figure that out. So thank you both for answering those questions. I want to open it up to all of you here in this call to ask any questions either in the chat or just come off of mute. There are a few questions in the chat that I can answer just as you all get warmed up. And so asking, do public defense internships qualify? Yes, they do. They definitely do. And if we applied for internships but haven't heard back from them yet, are we still able to apply? Yes, you can. That was my big push of, you don't have to have secured an internship at the time of application. It's just that if you get selected for the program, then you will need to confirm a site. So still apply for this as you're applying for other things. And then by that point that we award the funding, you would just need to have secured something. Yep, Caroline?
Yeah, also, I don't know if this isn't generally in the legal community, being a Lyman Fellow, like that has a very good name. So that actually helped me get my internship. So even if you don't have one yet, you can be like, hey, I'm a Lyman undergraduate fellow and I'm really excited about this thing. And that might help.
Yeah, that's really great advice. And so, a lot of tips. So I'm going to throw this question to you. I got a few of the same questions. So any tips for applying to internships? So I know, Toby, you just gave a good one about finding smaller organizations that may not have established programs, but any tips on where to find these organizations or find these opportunities? I have some listed in my head, but let's hear from your experiences.
You can go, Caroline.
Okay. Honestly, I don't know if I should share this because this is bad practice. Honestly, I looked up a bunch of professors and emailed a bunch of them, and so many of them didn't respond. And I feel very bad looking back because it probably isn't great to get a million emails from a bunch of undergrads being like, please hire me. That was probably not great, but I just happened to find someone who was doing work that I found really incredible, and I got a referral, and from there I was just able to find it. It was very serendipitous.
Yeah, I mean, I would just second what I said about looking on Barnard Connect or like Handshake. I think that's like an underutilized resource. Like all my friends are like, what's Barnard Connect? And it's really helpful because everyone on there is like, it's like opt in or whatever. Like nobody's on there who doesn't want to hear from students. So, and like the girl I spoke to, Grace, she like graduated from Barnard in 2016. Like she's super young and cool. And we like have gotten happy hour a few times. Like she's like a really cool person. So I feel like it's a good way to get something because like people want to hire Barnard alums. And yeah. Grace, who I work for, she like got a similar fellowship when she was at Barnard. It was like called something different, but she was like, oh my God, like we have to work this out. So yeah.
Yeah, no, those are great advice. Definitely using that networking angle, which Barnard Connect is our networking mentoring platform. And so there, it's really a good, kind of like Toby's idea of looking up people who work at organizations. That's good. I mean, cold emailing professors, if it works, it works. The worst thing that can happen is they do not reply to you. But another really good site, if you don't know specific organizations who are doing the work that you're interested in, idealist.org, and I can put that in the chat. That's one of my favorites for these types of organizations. It's like a go-to for nonprofit, social sector, public sector sorts of organizations for do postings for internships, jobs, volunteer opportunities. And so that should have a good amount of postings in this area. And then also LinkedIn jobs, if you are on LinkedIn, that's a pretty robust site, although the filters are a little wonky. So you can see, it's helpful to see who works somewhere who may be in your network though on LinkedIn. Yep, Caroline.
Another thing I did is I went through and there's a Liman website where you can see all the past fellows from all the schools. I did go through that list and look at the list like as inspiration to be like, oh, they worked here and there and there. that's helpful too, because then you know those people have taken on a Lyman Fellow at least once before.
Yeah, that's great. I love your just confidence in cold emailing people and organizations, because that is an underutilized way to get opportunities. Any other question? Let's see, based on how to find them on those. If your internship is paid, will you still receive a stipend? So we favor those that are not paid, just because otherwise some people may not be able to take on opportunities, but you can still apply, and then we'll just see, within kind of like our funding structure, what that may look like. It may not be the full stipend, it may be, but you can still apply, and then it's kind of like a we will let you know situation. Bump for this question. Okay, yep. So I answered that. Any other questions, or anybody want to talk? Come off of mute or put it in the chat, either way. Give it a few more.
Hi, sorry, I have a question.
Yeah.
Is it possible if Toby and Caroline can send in their emails in the chat? I would love to connect with you guys.
I think we both put them in the chat. Yeah, it's in there.
Yeah, they're in there. What I can do also is add them to the slide deck, and then you can, once you get that with the recording, then you can get them there too. The question about what were your majors? Just want to share those again.
So I am double majoring in political science and Spanish and Latin American cultures.
I'm American Studies, and one of the other fellows is also American Studies. Just wanted to say that. I feel like it's very much like, oh, you have to be poli-sci or whatever, but you can really be any major.
Yes, any major. The recording will be sent to you once it is processed. And I guess we'll take this last question, and then we'll kind of move into close. Pursuing an internship in environmental law or government or consulting, what are the requirements? So the requirements for this internship are an organization that does public interest law work. So environmental law most likely would qualify. Government or consulting, it would probably be case by case. It would definitely have to be a nonprofit organization. But we can, so if there are questions, if any of you are starting to apply to things like at certain points and have questions about those and if they would qualify, you can absolutely refer back to this recording and the slide deck that you'll get, or you can just email me. My email address is on the last slide. So I'm going to share my screen again, and then we'll close this out. So thank you. And so the next steps for this are fill out the interest form and this QR code, which, wow, QR codes really made a comeback during this pandemic, will take you to an interest form. And it's just so that we know that you would like to stay informed about the upcoming application cycle. So if you're here and you're like, yeah, this really isn't for me, then that's fine. If you're here or watching this later and still want to learn more, just go to that form and we'll keep it in the loop. Finish the semester strong. It's been a slog, as we all can know. And so just finish and then take a break. Try to relax, try to get some fresh air, try to touch some grass, which I know some people say as an insult, but really it's helpful. And then just check your email for updates. So remind you when the application opens, remind you of the close dates, any other pertinent information along the way, and feel free to reach out to me. Lindsay Granger Weaver. I run internship programs here now, or just email Beyond Barnard if you have any other questions. And so thank you all so much for coming. Thank you for just getting through the semester with us and for your interest in this program. And hopefully as soon enough, we get to read your applications. So good luck with your finals and have a great necessary break.
Thank you.
Thanks.